Welcome to episode 181 of Build Your House Yourself University by BYHYU. I'm your host and fellow student, Michelle Nelson. And together we'll learn the basics of home design and construction and demystify the building process so we can build beautiful, quality dream homes with or without a general contractor. Because of the popularity of white interior walls and white backgrounds in general on blogs and social media posts, we've grown accustomed to thinking of white as a go-to backdrop for many of our interior spaces. White is familiar, bright, and offers a clean background for highlighting home furnishings and features. The fresh, clean background is why most museums and galleries use white walls to showcase artwork. White can be a great choice for traditional and contemporary spaces. But to some people, white can come off as cold, boring, and overdone. Choosing a white is not as black and white as you might think. There are hundreds of shades of white. You've got to put some thought into selecting the right white for your spaces. Although your eye may be drawn to the purest, whitest white, be careful, because the whitest white can look, kind of like primer. Many times a cool white or a warm white is a better choice. Cool white is one with blue, gray, or green undertones. And a warm white has brown, red, orange, or pink undertones. Here are the pros of white interior walls. Number 1, white goes with everything. White walls allow you to select and readily change the color palette of your furniture, rugs, window treatments, accessories, and artwork without having to worry about walls clashing or competing with other colors. If you're someone who likes to switch up your decor seasonally, or even just occasionally, white walls will accommodate most any color palette. Number 2, white walls reflect light instead of absorbing it, making rooms look and feel light and bright. This is especially good in living areas, kitchens, bathrooms, and even bedrooms. According to the Better Sleep Council, painting a bedroom a soft white can help you relax and wind down for bed. Number 3, if you paint your walls white and hate it, it's an easy fix. White is one of the easiest colors to paint over. And speaking of easy fixes, number 4, white is probably the easiest color to patch, spackle, and touch up. So if you and your family are prone to dings on your interior walls, consider white walls. A painter once told me that the simplest and most effective way to touch up a small area on a painted wall is to spackle and sand, if needed, and then do the paint touch-up with your finger. No brush, just your finger. Number 5, it's easier to keep white walls clean than it is to keep white or light upholstery clean. If you want to add brightness to your space, you can do that with light furniture and or light or white walls. Although it's true that white walls require more upkeep than darker walls do, we'll talk about that in a second. It's also true that it's generally easier to clean white walls as compared to cleaning white or light furniture. So if bright is what you're going for, bright walls are easier to maintain than bright, light furniture is. All right, those were the pros. Now, here are the cons of white walls. Number 1, white, as I alluded to, can be high maintenance. When hands and pets repeatedly touch white walls, you're going to see evidence of that, especially where walls are touched often, like near light switches and doors. And if you have small children, brace yourself for even more scrubbing and touch-ups. A semi-gloss or gloss finish will make cleaning easier. But realize the glossier the paint, the more wall surface imperfections it will reflect. A quick tip here for removing scuffs and marks from white or light-colored walls is to use baby wipes, wet ones, or some other wet towelette, or magic erasers. Just test a small area before you go all out with those products. Baby wipes and wet ones, by the way, are also good for taking makeup and a few other stains out of clothing and furniture and car upholstery. Con number 2. If you select the wrong white, your room could look unflatteringly cold or glaringly bright. The type of natural light you get in the room is perhaps the biggest factor in determining the shade of white you should choose. Rooms with north-facing windows have the advantage of getting a consistent amount and hue of natural light throughout the day. But that light has a grayish-blue tinge. As such, northern rooms have a cold feeling, and adding a cool white to an already cool room can give the space an even colder, drabber appearance. Instead, balance the cool tones from the natural northern sunlight with warm whites that have a warm taupe, red or pink undertone. Those warm whites will make the room feel more cozy and less drab. The opposite is true for spaces with south-facing windows. Those rooms will get lots of warm, bright sun. So a cooler white with a hint of gray or blue is likely to work better to balance and ground the bright sun in that space. If you have a room with both north and south-facing windows, like my living room will, consider a neutral, pure white with minimal or absent undertones. If the neutral, pure white doesn't work, select a warm white because, in general, it's better for a room to be a bit too warm and cozy than too cold and sterile. Now, if you want to choose only one white shade to go on the walls throughout your house, a neutral, pure white could again be the best option. Test paint colors in your room with the most amount of natural light, and then in a room with the least amount of natural light, and choose the white that looks best in rooms that you use the most, like the living room, kitchen, and master bedroom. Pure, neutral white paint can also work well if you have lots of artwork you want to display. By the way, painters will often charge you less the fewer paint colors you select for your house. You may also want to choose neutral white light bulbs so your white paint doesn't change color or character at night when you have to turn your lights on. Since east and west-facing windows let in direct light for shorter periods during the day, choose whites that complement your north and south-facing rooms, unless, of course, your main living areas are west or east. Look at different whites in your actual space at different times of the day and night. You can paint a white poster board with your favorite options and move it around the house at different times of the day. Some paint companies now even have pre-painted swatches in different colors that you can stick on your walls and test out colors. Moving on to con number 3. White walls can look boring and sterile. If you're going with white walls, it's important to add texture, pattern, and or color to your rooms so they have some visual interest and dimension. And you don't have to choose bright pops of color or bold patterns if you don't want to. Even neutral colors and subtle patterns pop against white walls. Well, those were the pros and cons of choosing white walls. Interestingly, there are almost no controversies about painting trim and molding white, but there is always some debate about white walls. As always, do what you love and what you can live with. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I hope you learned as much as I did, and I hope you'll join me again next time for another episode of Build Your House Yourself University. BYHYU. Please remember that the purpose of this podcast is simply to educate and inform. It's not a substitute for professional advice. The information that you hear is based only on the opinions, research, and experiences of my guests and myself. That information might be incomplete, it's subject to change, and it may not apply to your project. In addition, building codes and requirements vary from region to region, so always consult a professional about specific recommendations for your home.